Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back here with another video. Hope you enjoy it, and hope you're doing well wherever you are. I'd love to read from your comments and basically hear from you, and hope you're well and keeping safe. And for April, May, and June, and as much of August as possible, I hope to focus on my dreams to impact Asians, and especially those from Asia itself and in Asia itself. And as ever, I'd love to read your comments and whatnot. I say read your thoughts, not like read your thoughts, but on a serious note, like read your comments and whatnot. I don't know where the idea for Asia 2.0 came from. I think I probably read it from somewhere and thought it was my idea. So I wonder how many times that's happened where I've thought something has been my idea, where it's really just my take on an idea, where if I've read something or whatever. But the idea for me for Asia 2.0 is like a new Asia, as the title suggests. So I hope to make a new Asia through an Asian alliance, which will hopefully bring Asian nations together. I just wanted to say what I remember on my video a couple of days ago, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago or something like that, but I talked about a few ideas, and I forgot a few ideas I wanted to talk about. So when I talked about Asia and Africa linking up and networking together, so one of the things I thought was like the Made in India project, Make in India. I may have mentioned it, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think it would be cool if they use their success, as well as other Asian nations like China with their engineering projects and that kind of thing, as part of the trade deals to sort of train up people in Africa on made in India or Make in India, so they can look at how to help African manufacturing and things made in Africa. And also they could the IT, the Indian Institute of Technology, they could help African countries through that in return for trade deals. So helping to make the AIT, which it could stand for the African Institute of Technology. And I think that was, if I can't quite remember, I'll probably remember it later and include it either later in this video or in part 2. But anyway, here are some of my ideas and dreams. I actually meant to do it on the 2nd because it's like Asia 2.0, so I wanted to do it on 2nd symbolically, but I didn't quite get around to it. I was behind schedule, so I decided to do it today because I think of Thursdays as like meeting deadlines and goals and things like that. But anyway, here goes. So number 1, as I say, I would love to make an Asian alliance as soon as possible. I put M.K.S in brackets, M.K.S Asian Alliance, because I'm not sure if I would use that my own initials for it or not as the founder, but or it should just be called the Asian Alliance, hence why I put it in brackets. But I'd love to know what you think about that, or any potential names for an Asian alliance. I thought it could be the Asian Union, but that could get mixed up with the Union, as both would be AU. So an Asian Alliance, which is AA, which for alliterative purposes would be pretty cool, but also would be separate from the African Union, but they could both learn from each other. I'd love for them to do pretty much the same sort of thing, which is to unite their continents. But I'd love to bring Asian nations together through that alliance. So look at like China and India, they have a rivalry, and there's disputed territories. I think it's called the Golan Heights or something like that in the Himalayas. Please correct me if I'm wrong, or if you know the name as such, and any information on that. But yeah, they've had quite a few border disputes. I hope to do reaction videos on those sorts of border disputes and try and turn that into a negative, from that negative situation, into a positive, where they could actually use those disputed areas and pre-colonial borders, which I hope to come to sort of network together. And the Asian Alliance, I think, should look at like pre-colonial borders, and hope to come to that in more detail. Number 2, it would be cool if Asian nations could look at what, this cat's so annoying, you can probably hear him in the background making that really whining sound. I don't know why, because I've fed him and everything, but anyway, the Asian Alliance could look at how to prevent divisions and things like that. And I think one way is Asian nations look at what they have in common with each other, and also just learning about each other's what similarities and differences. So learning off and from and about each other. I think that would be pretty cool. Number 3, I would love to promote libertarianism across Asia. I know I discussed that a bit in my video. I think it was yesterday or maybe on Tuesday, where I talked about libertarianism and my desire to. I think I actually talked about both in Asia and Africa, perhaps. But anyway, either way, I would love to promote libertarianism. I'm going to mainly focus on Asia, but in Asia and Africa, promote libertarianism, freedoms, human rights, animal rights, and that kind of thing. Number 4, again, looking at how to prevent divisions. I think it'd be cool if Asian nations looked at again, more of what they have in common rather than what's different between them, and how they can use disputed territories which were made to divide Asian nations. Arguably, I think a lot of those were probably created by nations like Britain to divide Asia, and I think it'd be cool if instead um, I often talk about like what numbers remind me of certain things, or how numbers remind me of things, and either 28 or 31, because it's 13 backwards in the latter's case. For some reason, 28 also reminds me of turning negative situations into positive. So how those borders were used to divide Asian nations. Sorry, I hope they'll be used to unite them together. Number 5, I would love to support encourage Asian nations again through what I hope these videos are about. What I would love for the Asian Alliance, or whatever it could be called, basically a committee, brainstorm, network, cooperative, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, a group of people who come together and create diplomacy across Asia, so preventing divisions and things like that. I was saying helping those, and I hope they will also help those Asian nations to achieve their goals and dreams. So like India's quest, as I often talk about, like to become a $10 trillion economy, China's quest to grow its economy and tackle poverty and things like that, and all the Asian nations. I suppose one thing I was thinking I could have included in the intro is like how there was unfortunately a terrible earthquake. Recently there's been earthquakes in Japan, Taiwan, and I think there's even been problems in India and China as well with weather. And I think it's something that they could work towards to try and prevent natural disasters, or at least limit them. Obviously, you can't necessarily prevent them, but at least limit them as possible and be prepared for them and try to help each other. Maybe one way to build relations between, say, China and Taiwan, for instance, and even China and Japan, and China and Hong Kong. In fact, even more so, I'd say Taiwan with the problems they have now. And to prevent a potential war could be China investing in Taiwan. And maybe Taiwan can go from a position, again, talking about turning negatives into positives. Maybe they could use the conflict between the US and China to their favor, because they could say, which one of you are going to invest in us more? So that instead of going to war with us, so it could go to a position instead of Taiwan and its citizens being potentially at risk of being invaded and having problems. And even if they won that war, they would still go through a lot of bad things. I don't know if anyone wins a war except for perhaps the elites or whatever, but they could use it to say which one of you will invest more in our country, in our nation, and that kind of thing. So that could help to, as I say, turn a negative situation into a positive. Although I would love for the Asian Alliance to take the Asian side, so to look at how China can work with Taiwan, and they could have like a sovereign wealth fund, a joint sovereign wealth fund between all Asian nations, including the Arab nations and that kind of thing. Again, African countries could do similar, but I hope to come to that in more details. This video once again has gone longer than planned, as so many of my videos have. On that note, moving on. Number 6, I want to try and save the Italian football stuff that I normally talk about till May, perhaps, or even beyond that, but and try and focus more on Asian projects. But I would love to combine those sorts of things together. I hope it'll be a mutual benefit. I hope Italian football will benefit, and basically, I hope by Asians following and supporting Italian football teams. But at the same time, I hope that Asian nations can benefit through like having more academies and sports clubs, which could bring them together, and Italy could help their economies, Asian economies, and buy Asian stuff and that kind of thing. For instance, helping them to market, promote, and ultimately sell their goods in return for helping Italian football. So I hope to build that partnership. Number 7, same for Celtic. As I often say again, I'd love to promote Celtic in and across the Far East and all of Asia, really, as much as possible. And another thing I was going to say recently, another thing I forgot to say actually in my videos that I covered recently, and I've been thinking of saying, I suppose I've got a month to cover a lot of these ideas, so plenty to talk about, as ever. But I was saying, like, in the past, I've thought of like the peaceful conversion of Christianity in Asia, the peaceful, I'm not doing very well here with my words, but the peaceful conversion of, I'm struggling to get my words out probably, the peaceful conversion of Christianity in Asia, promotion of Christianity and that kind of thing. But I suppose my faith has been weakened recently because of like various things, including like God not protecting my paperwork as I would like. But on that note, what I was thinking is like Islam or Muslim individuals, mosques, organizations, associations, and whatnot, and Christian individuals, churches, organizations, associations, and whatnot, and basically different religions. If they want to try and convert Asians or get Asians to follow their religion, maybe they should try and maybe they should have to try and talk about their religion, but also maybe maybe mosques, churches, and whatnot could compete to see which ones could help Asian nations. So if people are really passionate and positive about their faith and their belief and committed to it, what are the words I'm looking for, maybe they could put their money where their mouth is and say if their religion is more important to them than money, maybe they could fund projects like help orphanages, schools, associations, businesses, and whatnot, charities, NGOs, businesses, enterprises, and that kind of thing, all across Asia, and that could be a way to promote different religions. So they would have to compete to convert Asians to their religion if they wanted to do so. Hope that all made sense, and I hope to know what you think about each point as ever. Number 8. I hope there'll be lots of positive stories from Asia, and I hope Asian nations will be able to talk about positive things about their own countries and about each other's countries like China and India, Japan, Taiwan, Korea, and the rest of the Asian nations will be able to say positive things about each other, and talk about being proud, hopefully not in an arrogant way, but being proud to be Asian, and also looking at how they can network together and help each other. Love, not hate, as I say. And I'm sure there was another point I was going to raise, but once again I've forgotten. But I'll probably think of it later, hopefully. Number 9, as ever, I would love to promote Asian poetry, art, writing, and that kind of thing. And maybe Asians could celebrate politicians of Asian or even mixed Asian ancestry, like Leo Varadkar. I think he recently got voted out in Ireland, but I'm not 100% sure if they had their elections or not. But people like Leo Varadkar and Rishi Sunak and others, and I suppose people might say that people like that, like Rishi Sunak, would put Britain first because obviously he's in Britain and he's representing Britain and that kind of thing, and he would probably have to even show that he's patriotic. I think a lot of Asians would say, but I wonder what Asians think about Asian politicians overseas, non-resident Asians, we say NRAs. NRIs stand for non-resident Indians, so NRAs could be non-resident Asians. So I wonder what Asians think of like politicians from overseas of Asian descent. And also the mixed race community and things like that as well. That'd be interesting. And also Asian opinions generally. And I'd love to support politics, Asia. And again, I'd love to promote Pan-Asianism. And number 10, I would love to support young people, orphanages, schools, and just young people generally across Asia. And I wonder if promoting Asian TikTokers and YouTubers and things like T-series and whatnot could benefit Asian nations and their economies. And I also hope to look into like how the Asian Development Bank could invest in and support Asian projects like Asian businesses, enterprises, or whatever you call them, whatever the difference is, and projects generally, and help them to market, promote, and ultimately sell their products, services, and goods, and that kind of thing overseas and all around the world. And I think that covers everything for now. Sorry, I stumbled on my words and was waffling away, but I'd love to know what you think and what could empower people from Asia, what could unite people from Asia, promote Pan-Asianism, and that kind of thing. I think if enough people come together and promote Pan-Asianism, it could work, hopefully. I like to think so. Maybe we could exceed expectations. Like a lot of time, I think China and India are growing, obviously quite a lot, or certainly were growing, and I think they kind of still are. And they were the two of the top growing economies at one point, along with Russia. And I wonder if they're united, could they grow even further? And also if they support neurodiverse people. But I hope to come to that in part 3 or 4, whatever. But anyway, peace and love. I'm out.